What if the single most powerful thing you could change about your life was not your bank account, not your relationships, not your career, but the thoughts running through your mind every single day? What if the difference between the life you have right now and the life you have always wanted was not out there somewhere waiting to be found, but already inside you, waiting to be chosen? Today we are going to talk about something that most people completely underestimate. Something so simple it sounds almost too easy, and yet so profound that it has the power to completely transform every area of your existence. We are talking about filling your mind with positive thoughts. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will never think about your thoughts the same way again. Every single morning, before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already working. It is already processing, already forming the lens through which you will see every person, every situation, and every opportunity that comes your way that day. And for most people, that lens is cracked. It is clouded by worry, by self-doubt, by old stories that were written years ago and never updated. Most people wake up and their first thoughts are about what could go wrong, what they have not done, what they are afraid of, what they are not enough of. And then they wonder why life feels so heavy, why progress feels so slow, why joy feels so distant. Here is what the science, the philosophy, and the lived experience of countless extraordinary people all agree on. Your thoughts are not neutral. They are not just background noise. They are the architecture of your reality. The thoughts you think most consistently shape your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your behavior. Your behavior shapes your results. And your results shape your life. Which means that if you want a different life, you do not start by changing what is outside of you. You start by changing what is happening inside of you. You start with your thoughts. This is not wishful thinking. This is not about pretending the world is perfect or that pain does not exist. This is about understanding one of the most powerful truths available to any human being. You have more influence over your inner world than you have ever been taught. And when you begin to exercise that influence deliberately and consistently, everything around you begins to shift. So let us start at the very beginning. Understanding the power of your thoughts. Your brain processes an extraordinary amount of thoughts every single day. Tens of thousands of them. And the vast majority of those thoughts are automatic. They are not chosen. They are habits. Patterns of thinking that were formed over years, sometimes decades, often rooted in experiences from childhood, in things people said to you, in failures you never fully recovered from, in wounds that never properly healed. Most people are not thinking their thoughts. Their thoughts are thinking them. This is the first thing to understand. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are something you have, not something you are. And because they are something you have, they can be examined, questioned, and changed. This realization alone is transformative for many people. Because so many of us have lived our entire lives treating every thought that appears in our mind as truth, as fact, as a reliable report on reality. But thoughts are not facts. They are interpretations. They are stories. And stories can be rewritten. The thoughts you repeat most often become your dominant mental climate. Think of your mind like the weather system of your inner world. If the predominant weather is stormy, gray, and cold, everything you see and do is filtered through that coldness. Opportunities look like threats. Challenges look like proof of your inadequacy. Other people's success looks like a reminder of your own failure. But when the predominant weather is clear, bright, and warm, the same world looks completely different. The same challenge becomes an opportunity to grow. The same setback becomes a lesson. The same other person's success becomes proof that success is possible. You get to choose your mental weather. Not perfectly, not overnight, but deliberately, consistently, and with growing power over time. That is what filling your mind with positive thoughts really means. It means becoming the architect of your own inner climate. And the rewards for doing that work are beyond what most people can currently imagine. Why most people live in negativity. Before we talk about how to fill your mind with positive thoughts, we need to be honest about why most people do not. Because it is not laziness. It is not stupidity. There are deep, powerful reasons why the human mind defaults to the negative. And understanding those reasons is the first step to transcending them. The human brain evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in an environment where threats were everywhere and survival was never guaranteed. The brain that kept you alive was the one that constantly scanned for danger, that noticed everything that could go wrong, that never fully relaxed because relaxation could get you killed. This is what scientists call the negativity bias. Your brain is literally wired to pay more attention to negative information than to positive information. A threat registers faster and more powerfully than an opportunity. A criticism lands harder and lingers longer than a compliment. A loss feels more significant than an equivalent gain. This wiring was extraordinary for survival on the ancient savanna. It is deeply unhelpful for living a full, joyful, and productive modern life. Because most of us are no longer facing physical predators. But our brains have not gotten the memo. They are still treating every criticism as a threat to survival, every uncertainty as a signal of danger, every mistake as evidence of fundamental inadequacy. And so the default setting for most human minds, left untrained and unguided, is a kind of low-level anxiety and negativity that colors everything. Add to this the environment most of us are living in. A media landscape that is almost entirely built on fear, outrage, and conflict. Social media platforms algorithmically designed to keep you engaged through emotional provocation. A culture that measures worth by achievement and constantly reminds you of what you do not yet have. Most people are marinating in negativity from the moment they wake up to the moment they fall asleep. And they wonder why their inner world feels so dark. They are feeding their mind poison and expecting it to produce health. What positive thinking actually is. Let us clear something up because there is an enormous amount of misunderstanding about what positive thinking actually means. Positive thinking does not mean ignoring problems. It does not mean pretending that difficult things are not difficult. It does not mean plastering a fake smile over genuine pain and calling yourself healed. That is not positive thinking. That is spiritual bypassing. And it does not work. Real positive thinking is something far more powerful and far more honest than that. Real positive thinking means choosing to look for possibility in every situation. It means deciding that challenges are temporary and navigable rather than permanent and crushing. It means believing in your capacity to grow, to learn, and to recover even when you have no evidence yet. It means orienting your mind toward solutions rather than camping permanently in problems. It means choosing faith over fear as your operating system, not because you have all the answers, but because faith is a more productive foundation for action than fear will ever be. Positive thinking is also not passive. This is another misconception. People sometimes think that positive thinkers just sit around expecting good things to happen. That is magical thinking, not positive thinking. True positive thinking is active. It is the engine behind bold action. When you genuinely believe that something is possible, you take the risks required to pursue it. When you genuinely believe you are capable, you do the work required to prove it. Positive thinking without positive action is a dream. But positive thinking combined with consistent, courageous action is how lives are completely transformed. The connection between thoughts and reality. There is a principle that runs through virtually every wisdom tradition, every major philosophical school, and increasingly through modern neuroscience as well. As within, so without. What happens in your inner world has a profound effect on what manifests in your outer world. Not in a magical, instantaneous way, but in a deep, systematic, undeniable way. When you consistently think thoughts of possibility, your brain begins to operate differently. Your reticular activating system, which is essentially the filter through which your brain decides what information to pay attention to, begins to highlight opportunities, connections, and resources that were always there but that you were previously blind to. You start noticing open doors that you previously walked right past. You start hearing encouragement that you previously could not receive because your negativity was too loud. You start attracting collaboration and support because people can feel your energy and are drawn to those who operate from a place of genuine optimism and purpose. Conversely, when you consistently think thoughts of limitation, failure, and unworthiness, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You do not try because you are already certain you will fail. You do not ask because you are already certain of rejection. You do not put your full energy into something because you are already convinced it will not work. And then, when things do not work out, you point to the result as proof that you were right to think negatively all along. The negative thought created the negative behavior, which created the negative result, which reinforced the negative thought. It is a cycle. And the only way to break it is to interrupt the thinking. How to begin filling your mind with positive thoughts. Now we get to the practical heart of everything. Because understanding is only the beginning. The real transformation comes from application. So how do you actually begin to fill your mind with positive thoughts in a world designed to fill it with the opposite? The first practice is awareness. You cannot change what you cannot see. Most people have no real idea what their dominant thoughts actually are. They experience moods. They experience feelings. But they rarely trace those back to the specific thoughts that are generating them. So the first step is to start paying attention to your own thinking. When you feel anxious, stop and ask what thought preceded that feeling. When you feel inadequate, ask what story your mind just told you. When you feel hopeless, ask what belief is underneath that hopelessness. This kind of inner observation is not comfortable at first, but it is absolutely essential. You are taking back the steering wheel of your own mind. The second practice is interruption. Once you can identify a negative thought pattern, you can interrupt it. This does not mean suppressing it. It means consciously choosing not to follow it down the rabbit hole. You acknowledge the thought. You recognize it as a thought, not a fact. And then you redirect. You ask yourself a different question. Instead of why is everything so hard, you ask what one small thing can I do right now. Instead of I am not good enough, you ask what evidence exists that contradicts that belief. The question you ask your mind determines the answer your mind goes looking for. Ask better questions and you will find better answers. The third practice is replacement. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you simply try to stop negative thoughts without putting anything in their place, they will return. You need to replace them with something intentional. This is where positive affirmations, if used correctly, have genuine power. Not hollow repetitions of things you do not believe, but genuine, specific, present-tense statements about who you are becoming and what you are capable of. Spoken with feeling. Repeated with consistency, until they begin to sink from the conscious mind into the deeper layers of belief. The environment of your mind. Your thoughts do not exist in a vacuum. They are constantly being shaped by the environment you place yourself in. The content you consume. The conversations you have. The people you spend time with. The spaces you inhabit. All of these things are constantly feeding your mind material that it then turns into thoughts. Which means that if you want to fill your mind with positive thoughts, you need to curate your environment with intentionality. Start with what you consume. The first hour of your morning is the most important hour of your day from a mental perspective. Your brain is in a highly receptive state, and whatever you feed it in that window sets the tone for the next many hours. If the first thing you do is open social media and scroll through outrage, comparison, and conflict, you have already polluted your mental environment before the day has even begun. Instead, choose inputs in that first hour that elevate, inspire, and ground you. Books that challenge and expand your thinking. Podcasts or videos from people who are living the kind of life you aspire to. Quiet reflection. Journaling. Prayer. Movement. Start the day feeding your mind with something worth having. Throughout the day, be deliberate about the information diet you are on. You would not eat from a garbage can and expect your body to be healthy. Why would you consume mental and emotional garbage and expect your mind to be healthy? This does not mean you become naive or uninformed. It means you choose quality over volume. You engage with content that makes you think more clearly rather than content that simply makes you feel more afraid. You follow voices that elevate the conversation rather than those that make their living by keeping you outraged and anxious. And then there are the people. This is sometimes the hardest part. Because some of the people who drain your mental positivity most reliably are people you love. But you have to be honest about the effect certain relationships have on your inner world. Some people consistently pull you toward pessimism, fear, and smallness. Every conversation with them leaves you feeling worse about yourself and about life. That is not a relationship that is serving you. You may not be able to remove these people entirely from your life, but you can limit your exposure. You can choose not to engage with the negative conversations. You can decide what you are willing to discuss and what you are not. Your mental environment is too precious to leave unguarded.
Gratitude AS à Gateway.
If there is one practice above all others that has the most immediate and the most profound effect on the quality of your thoughts, it is gratitude.
Note gratitude à Polite Social Obligation.
Not the kind of gratitude where you count your blessings because someone told you to. Genuine, deep, felt gratitude for the specific details of your actual life. Here is why gratitude is so powerful. Your brain cannot simultaneously hold a thought of genuine appreciation and a thought of lack or fear. They cannot occupy the same space at the same time. When you are truly grateful, you are by definition focused on what you have rather than what you lack. On what is working rather than what is broken. On evidence of goodness rather than evidence of threat. Gratitude is not just a feel-good exercise. It is a direct intervention in the architecture of your thinking. The practice is simple but must be done with depth to be effective. Every day, identify specific things you are genuinely grateful for. Not generic things. Not just health and family and food because those become rote and lose their power quickly. Specific things. The conversation this morning that made you laugh. The way the light looked at a particular time of day. The fact that you have the ability to think and feel and grow. The person who showed up for you when you needed it. The challenge that taught you something you could not have learned any other way. Go deep. Go specific. Feel it. Let it land. And watch what begins to happen to the overall quality of your thinking over time. Speaking life into your world. Your words and your thoughts are deeply intertwined. The words you speak out loud reflect the thoughts you are thinking. But they also reinforce them. When you consistently speak words of defeat, you are not just reporting on your inner world. You are deepening the grooves of that inner world. You are training your mind to believe more fully in its own limitations. And when you begin to speak words of possibility, of strength, of faith, you are not just being optimistic. You are reshaping the neural pathways that determine what you believe is true about yourself and about life. Pay attention to the language you use about yourself. Do you say things like "I am always like this," or "I never get it right," or "this always happens to me"? These are not harmless expressions of frustration. They are declarations. They are instructions to your subconscious mind about who you are and what to expect. The words "always" and "never" are particularly dangerous because they turn a single experience into a permanent identity. Replace them with "sometimes" and "in the past" and "I am learning" and "I am growing." Small linguistic shifts that carry enormous psychological weight over time. Speak about your future with faith. Talk about your goals as though they are already in motion. Not in a delusional way that ignores the work required, but in a way that orients your mind toward the destination rather than toward all the reasons you might not reach it. The mind moves in the direction of its most dominant thoughts. Give it a worthy direction to move in. Speak it out loud. Write it down. Make it real in language before it becomes real in the world. Overcoming the resistance. There will be days when filling your mind with positive thoughts feels impossible. Days when life hits you with something so heavy that optimism feels not just unrealistic but almost offensive. Grief, loss, failure, betrayal. These are real. They are part of the human experience. And on those days, you are not required to pretend you are fine. You are not required to smile through genuine pain. What you are required to do, if you want to grow, is not let the dark days become your permanent address. There is an enormous difference between going through something hard and deciding that hard is all there is. Between feeling broken temporarily and deciding you are broken permanently. The positive thinker is not the person who never falls. They are the person who falls, feels it fully, and then chooses to rise again. The person who sits in the pain as long as it takes and then deliberately, purposefully, turns their face back toward the light. Resistance to positive thinking also comes from within in a subtler form. Sometimes we are attached to our negative stories. They have become part of our identity. They explain our circumstances in a way that feels comfortable even if it is limiting. Giving up the story that you are unlucky, or that the world is against you, or that you are fundamentally not the kind of person who succeeds, means taking full responsibility for where you are. And that is terrifying. But it is also enormously liberating. Because the same thought that says you are responsible for your situation also says you have the power to change it. That is not a burden. That is the greatest gift you can give yourself. The compounding effect of consistent positive thinking. Here is something that most people do not fully appreciate about the practice of positive thinking. It compounds. Just like interest in a savings account, just like physical training, just like any skill you practice consistently, the benefits of positive thinking grow exponentially over time. The first week of deliberately choosing better thoughts may feel like hard work with little visible result. The first month may feel like you are making slow progress. But keep going. Because what is happening underneath the surface, in the neural pathways of your brain, in the slowly shifting foundation of your beliefs, is profound. After months of consistent practice, things that used to derail you for days begin to take only hours. Things that used to take hours begin to take minutes. Your default setting begins to shift. The thoughts that arise automatically in the morning, the ones that were once heavy with dread and self-doubt, begin to carry more brightness. You begin to notice beauty more quickly, possibility more readily. You begin to recover faster, to forgive more easily, to love more openly. Not because life has gotten easier, but because your mind has gotten stronger, more trained, more oriented toward the light. And the external results begin to follow. Opportunities appear because you were in the right state of mind to recognize them. Relationships deepen because you are showing up with more warmth and less defensiveness. Work improves because you are approaching it with energy and belief rather than dread and resignation. Health shifts because your thoughts affect your body in very real biological ways, your stress hormones, your immune function, your sleep quality. Everything is connected, and it all starts with what you think. Building a daily ritual of mental nourishment. Everything we have discussed needs to become a daily practice if it is going to produce lasting change. So let us build a framework for filling your mind with positive thoughts every single day, not as a mood-dependent activity but as a non-negotiable commitment to your own growth. Begin each morning with intention before engaging with the outside world. 5 to 10 minutes of stillness in which you deliberately set the tone for your mind. This might look like reading something that inspires you. It might look like journaling your thoughts and then consciously redirecting to what you are grateful for and what you are excited about. It might look like meditation or prayer. What it should not look like is immediately reaching for your phone and handing your fresh, receptive morning mind over to the chaos of the internet. Throughout the day, build in brief moments of mental check-in. When you notice your thoughts drifting into anxiety, rumination, or self-criticism, pause. Breathe. Return to intention. Ask yourself what the most empowering thought available to you in this moment is. This is not about toxic positivity. It is about choosing your mental direction rather than being dragged by circumstance. In the evening, close the day with reflection and appreciation. What went well today? What did you learn? What are you grateful for? What is one thing you are looking forward to tomorrow? This closing ritual matters because the thoughts you fall asleep with are particularly powerful. Your mind continues processing during sleep. Give it something worthy to process. Plant seeds of possibility in the final moments of each day and let them grow through the night. The identity of a positive thinker. Just as we discussed when talking about self-control, the deepest and most lasting change always comes at the level of identity. There is a difference between someone who is trying to think positively and someone who simply is a positive thinker. The first person is fighting their default. The second person has shifted their default. And the shift from one to the other happens through the accumulation of every thought you deliberately choose, every morning ritual you keep, every negative spiral you interrupt, every word of faith you speak over your own life. You are not too far gone. You are not too old. You are not too damaged. The brain retains its capacity for change throughout life. The person you are today is not the fixed, final version of you. It is a version that was shaped by the thoughts you have been thinking up until now. And the person you will be in a year, in 5 years, in a decade, will be shaped by the thoughts you choose from this moment forward. That is an extraordinary power. Most people never claim it. But it is yours if you want it. Decide today who you are. Decide that you are someone who looks for the good. Someone who believes in possibility. Someone who meets darkness with light, not because you are naive, but because you know that light is more powerful. Someone who speaks kindly to themselves and about others. Someone who gets knocked down and gets back up with their faith intact. That identity, practiced daily, becomes your character. And your character becomes your destiny. Filling your mind with positive thoughts is not a luxury. It is not something you do when life is easy and skip when life gets hard. It is the very foundation of a life that is worth living. It is the practice that underlies every great achievement, every meaningful relationship, every act of courage, and every moment of genuine joy that any human being has ever experienced. It starts inside. It starts with what you choose to think. And it starts now. The world will give you plenty of reasons to be afraid, to doubt yourself, and to believe that things will not work out. You do not need to add to that noise. You can choose every single day to fill the most important real estate in your life, your own mind, with thoughts worthy of the person you are and the life you are building. That choice, made consistently, with patience and with faith, will change everything. Your mind is your most powerful tool. Feed it well. Guard it fiercely. Fill it with light. And watch what your life becomes. If something in this video spoke to you today, if something shifted even slightly in how you see your own thinking, do not let this be the last conversation we have. Subscribe to this channel right now. Every week, content goes out that is designed to help you think better, live stronger, and become the fullest version of who you are meant to be. This is a community built for people who are serious about growth, about mindset, and about creating a life that actually feels like their own. That is you. Subscribe now and be part of what we are building here together.